जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय यशोदा नंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय यशोदनंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तिरवन चारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना चिरवन चारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय पंच तत्व की जय षड गोस्वामी की जय गुरु परंपरा की जय शिल प्रभुपाद की जय शिल गुरुदेव की जय निता गौर प्रेम हरि बोल ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata seveya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering your service to the pure devotee. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established in the irrevocable fact. So, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Mataji, thank you very much for joining and keeping the appointment with Krishna. And today's very auspicious appointment on the first day of the new year, the appointment with Srimad Bhagavatam. So just share the screen. You can. So today we'll be discussing from 4th canto, 9th chapter, verse number 12. 4, 9, 12 from Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, this the lyrics is like the Brahma Samhita. Chintamani prakara satma shukalpa vriksha. The same tune. Okay, one. Tena smaranti atitara priyamishamartyam. Ye chanvadas sutta suhrit grahavittadaraha. Ye tvabjanaba bhavadeya padaravinda. सौगन्ध्यलुप्त हृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गाः तेन स्मरन्ति अतितरां प्रियमीशमर्त्याम् ये चान्वदः सुतसुहृद्गृहवित्तदाराः ये त्वब्जनाभ भवदीयपदारविन्द सौगन्ध्यलुप्तहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गाः तेन स्मरन्त्यतितरां प्रियमीशमर्त्यम् ये चान्मदक्सुतसुहृद्गृहवित्तदाराः ये त्वब्जनाभ भवदीयपदारविन्द सौगन्ध्यलुप्तहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गाः. I think one Mataji and one Prabhuji can recite. Please, anybody wants to recite.
Hare
Can
Krishna.
Oh, carry on, Mataji, please.
No, Mataji, you carry on. No problem.
No problem. Both of you can recite. One of you, please start with it. No problem.
Okay, Prabhuji. Tena Hare Krishna. तेन स्मरन्त्यतितरां प्रियमीशमर्त्यं ये चान्वदसुतसुहृद् ग्रहवित्तदाराः ये त्वब्जनाभ भवदीयपदारविन्द सौगन्ध्यलुप्तहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गाः.
Very
Hare
nice.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Swayambara Mataji, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Tena smaranthyatitaram priyamishamartyam ye chanvada sutasurud gruha vittadaraha ye tvabjanabha bhavadiya padaravinda saugandhyalupta hrudayeshu कृत प्रसंगाः.
Thank you. Very
धन्यवाद.
nice. Hare Krishna. And Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, may I?
Yes, Bhai.
तेन स्मरन्त्यतितरां प्रियमीशमर्त्यम् ये चान्वदसुतहृत् गृहवित्तधाराः ये त्वब्जनाभ भवदीयपदारविन्द सौगन्त्यलुप्तहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गाः.
Hare Krishna. Very nice. Thank you. Oh, Sonia Mata, you want to recite? Okay, go ahead, Mata. Because time is short, so please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Tena smarantyatit-taram priyamishamrtya ye chanvadah sutta-suhrat grahavittadaraha ye tvabjana bhavadiya पदारविन्द सौगन्ध्यलुप्तहृदयेषु कृतप्रसङ्गा. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mother. Hare Krishna. Go to word meaning now. They, no, never, smaranti, remember, atitaram, highly, priyam, dear, isha, O Lord, martyam, material body, ye, they who, cha, also, anu, in relationship with, adha, that, suta, sons, suhrit, friends, griha, home, vitta, wealth, dharaha, and wife, ye, those who, too, then, arjanabha, O Lord, who have a lotus never, Bhavadiya of your Padaravinda, lotus feet, Saugandhya, the fragrance, Lubdha have achieved, Hridayeshu with devotees whose hearts, Krita Prasangaha have association. Translation purport by John Shri Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation and purport. O Lord, who have a lotus never, if a person happens to associate with a devotee whose heart always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, he is never attached to the material body or in a bodily relationship to offspring, friends, home, wealth, and wife, which are very, very dear to materialistic persons. Indeed, he does not care for them. Purport. A special advantage in devotional service is that devotees not only enjoy the transcendental pastimes of the Lord by hearing and chanting and glorifying them, but also are not very much attached to their bodies, unlike the yogis who are too attached to the body and who think that by performing bodily gymnastic exercises, they will advance in spiritual consciousness. Yogis are generally not very much interested in devotional service. They want to regulate the breathing process. This is simply a bodily concern. Here, Dhruva Maharaj plainly says that a devotee has no more bodily interest. He knows that he is not the body. Therefore, from the very beginning, without wasting time in bodily exercises, a devotee searches out a pure devotee and simply by his association becomes more advanced in spiritual consciousness than any yogi. Because the devotee knows that he is not the body, he is never affected by bodily happiness or distress. He is not interested in bodily relationships with wife, children, home, bank balance, etc., or in the distress and happiness which comes from these things. This is a special advantage of being a devotee. This status of life is possible only when a person is interested in associating with a pure devotee who always enjoys the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Jai Shri Prabhupada's transcendental purport ki jai. Om Yan Andasya ज्ञानाञ्जलशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सगणरघुनाथामितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणलिता श्रीविशाखावतांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धु भवेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयते किल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणानमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं नन्दयति गिरं यत्पाठं वन्दे परमानन्दं विनताय नमो विष्णुभूतलक्ष्मी महाशोसंज्ञाने नमो विष्णुभूतलक्ष्मी भक्तिव्यासं श्री कृष्ण नित्यानंद श्री हरे कृष्ण So Hare Krishna, Prabhu Maharaj. Thank you very much for being so enthusiastic to get up early in the morning, the 1st of January. Because that is the real test, right? Normally on the 31st, everybody has so many occupations, so many New Year Eve programs, and so many other things, right? Going late into the night. But getting up for Mangalarti is a very, very auspicious and the real test of our devotional service. And thank you very much for joining. So in this chapter is entitled Dhruva Maharaj Returns Home. Whereas the previous one, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. So you all know the episodes, right? So we do not give the background. The time is also, we will just go into the verses, this particular verse, and try to take out what is the verse conveying to us and how we can take practical lessons so that we can put it into our daily practice. So from verse number 496, because from 494, that verse is there where Yanta Pravesh, where Krishna touches the conchal on the forehead of Dhruva Maharaj, because he wanted to say prayers, right? But he could not. So when he was touched by the conchal by Krishna, then Dhruva Maharaj started praying. So from 496, Dhruva Maharaj starts praying. Now in this purport, in the first line, Prabhupada says, a special advantage in devotional service is that devotees not only enjoy the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. How do they enjoy pastimes of the Lord? By hearing and chanting and glorifying them. So this is a special advantage that devotees not only enjoy the transcendental pastimes of the Lord by hearing and chanting, glorifying them, but are also not very much attached to their bodies also. That's what happens when we come for the program. We are not thinking about the body or anything in body relationship, nothing. Completely focused, wrapped in attention of hearing the Krishna Katha. So that is a special advantage in devotional service. Unlike the yogis, Prabhupada says, who are too much attached to the body and who think that by performing bodily gymnastic exercises, they will advance in spiritual consciousness. So yogis are generally not very much interested in devotional service. They want to regulate the breathing process. And this is simply a bodily concern. It is not the food for the soul. See, generally, people get addicted to intoxicants because this intoxication gives them a hallucinating experience and thus making them temporarily forget the pains and miseries of their situations. Drugs and all, that's what people used to take. That is intoxication. That is addiction they have. But all addictions to intoxicants have their adverse effects. And too much dependence on them, this itself becomes the source of misery for the addicts. Initially, they think that the misery will go off, but it's only temporary. Then it becomes a source of misery for the addiction because of the addiction. Without that, they cannot live. So, as conditioned living entities, we all come into this material world to enjoy sense gratification. So, what happens? We become addicts. Addicts of what? You can see that there are very nice coverings. We become addicts of these coverings, thus resulting in ignorance and continuation of the material existence. So, very nicely explained in Bhagavatam 3:20-18. We can remember these coverings, which really puts us in the material existence, continuation of the material existence. What are they? So, in 3:20-18, it is ADD. We saw the addiction, right? So, ADDICT, addict, right? So, A for anger. Constitutionally, each and every living entity has a minute independence. And because of the misuse of that minute independence, to think that we can also enjoy like Supreme Lord, we are in this material world, which is not possible. So this forgetfulness of our constitutional position is because of our anger and envy. And this is called Tamishra. And this mentality is very hard to overcome. That is why our spiritual masters always refer to anger as the greatest sin and advise us to get rid of this. So A is the anger. The next one is AD. Death is the ultimate end. Death is the ultimate end. This is the condition of Andha Tamishra. First one was Tamishra. This is the condition of the Andha Tamishra. And the atheists generally think that the body is the self and therefore everything ends with the end of the body. This conception that death is the ultimate end is killing human civilization. So death is not the ultimate end. We have the next life. So death is, so D for, first is A for anger, D for death is the ultimate end. The third point, D is denying the existence of the soul. By telling that death is the ultimate end, they deny the existence of the soul. So this condition of not knowing anything about the spirit soul is called tamas. One is always thinking that this is my body. and anything in relation with my body is mine. And this is tamas, denying the existence of the soul. Then comes I for illusion. See, the bodily attachments increase. As the bodily attachments increase, illusion or moha of the body, bodily concept of life, they also increase. And the result in, and thereby it results in fighting between families, societies, nations. So this is illusion, moha, attached because of that increase in attachments. Then comes C, complete sense gratification. The illusion makes us mad. It makes us mad after material enjoyment. And we are overwhelmed, by the madness to have complete sense gratification. And this is called, the previous one, illusion, is called moha, but this is called, complete sense gratification is called mahamoha. Mahamoha. Mahaprasad. Prasad Mahaprasad, like that. But this is mahamoha. Complete sense gratification. Then comes T. T is total ignorance. See, all these ADDIC, all this put together keeps the living entities compact in what? In total ignorance. Total ignorance is the ultimate goal of life. So this T is total ignorance. So this is the coverings which result in ignorance and continuation of the material existence. So anger, death is the ultimate end, denying this existence of soul, illusion, complete sense gratification, and total ignorance, addict. So how to get rid of it? How to get out of it? So there is a therapeutic treatment. There is, of course, there is a treatment. So you go when you have such a disease, these diseases are there, then you go to the doctor, right? Who prescribes medicines for you. So the therapeutic treatment for this kind of an addict, which we just saw, is another addiction. So this addict can be removed by another addict. That is, if anyone persistently engages in hearing the topics of the Lord from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya, or chanting, is actually addicted to this process, just as one becomes addicted to intoxicants. So it is very easy to cross the signs of middle existence. And this is very wonderfully expressed by Dhruva Maharaj in Bhagavatam. The verse just before this, we are talking, 4.9.12 we are talking about today. So 4.9.11, so Dhruva Maharaj expresses very nicely. So we can extract, wherein he says, "O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly, as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the Nisaind ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes which are eternally existence. So addiction to the process of devotional service cures the material addiction. How? A. Association of pure devotees. We see in this verse 4.9.12 also. A is association of pure devotees. See, Srila Prabhupada, he writes, the transcendental devotional service cannot be complete and cannot be relishable without the association of pure devotees. So in the association of devotees, we are enlightened on what? On the aspect that we are not the body, but our spirit souls, eternal servants of Krishna. Thereby we can come out of the covering of tamas, that is denying the existence of soul. So this association of pure devotees removes the tamas, that is denying the existence of the soul, which we saw before. Then the D comes to is devotional service. In the association of devotees, the words of Lord Krishna is fully potent and relishable to the heart and ear. And this results in what? In the incessant flow of devotional service. So this devotional service results in transcendental knowledge that the death is not the ultimate end, but the service to the Lord is eternal. So this covering of Andhatamishra is broken by this devotional service. Then the another D is detachment. Detachment from material things, which is the result of unrelenting devotional service. It gives us a pleasing attitude. So we are thereby, by this detachment from material things, which is a result of this perfect, continuous, constant devotional service, which gives us a pleasing attitude, right? So thereby we are out of the covering of anger or envy, tamisha. If we are not out of the anger and envy, so that is tamisha. We are getting out of it by this detachment, by the constant devotional service. Then comes identification with our constitutional position. Identification with our constitutional position. So getting detached from matter, we come to our real identity as spirit souls. And this takes us out of the covering of illusion or moha. Then comes another, the C, ADDI-C, complete suspension of the modes. Complete suspension of the modes. So the devotional process results in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of material nature, thereby resulting in uncovering the Mahamoha. That is also important. Devotional process results in complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of material nature. And then comes T, termination of material existence. See, the ocean of metal nescience is compared to a blazing fire. But complete absorption in devotional service, absorption in devotion, just like the sponge, it helps us to easily cross over the ocean of nescience. So, the transcendental addiction alone can save us from the material addiction. Prabhupada summarizes all these in his powerful statement in his purport to 5.6.16. As a matter of principle, see, very nice point. Please understand this. As a matter of principle, devotees should read, speak, and hear Srimad Bhagavatam persistently 24 hours daily if possible. Very beautiful statement. As a matter of principle, no? Devotees should read, devotees should speak, devotees should hear Bhagavatam persistently, consistently, constantly, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, 24 hours daily if possible. But he didn't force us, he said if possible, right? Requesting us. See, the association of devotees, no, it aids in spiritual advancement. That's what we saw in 4.9.11. The previous verse is talking about, and now also in 4.9.12 as well. See, Dhruva Maharaj is chanting the prayers to Krishna, right? Started from 4.9.6. And there he says to Krishna, it is only by association of devotees one can make advancement in devotional service. Very powerful statement. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes very nicely in 4.9.11, unless one is associated with devotees, his devotional service does not mature. It does not become distinct from material activities. So maturity depends on association of devotees. And Guru Maharaj said, the first thing to understand is that association with devotees is the way to advance in devotional service. But association with devotees means when we associate, Krishna must be in the center. Discussions about spiritual activities must be in the center. We must be able to confide to devotees our problems in material life. And we must help each other to solve these problems using the pages of Bhagavatam. That is association. If we are intimate with each other and we know each other like family, but the family has no Krishna in the center, that is not association. Unfortunately, 90% of us associate in intimacy without putting Krishna in the center. It becomes like a social gathering, right? In all the programs. The moment intimacy is there, familiarity is there, and it breeds contempts, and our association will break. But where there is Krishna in the center, and you are always discussing Bhagavatam with each other, discussing how to preach, then there is no disturbance. No disturbance. So each one of us have the responsibility to give nice association to others and also take association from others. My Guru Maharaj said, if we do not take association of devotees, devotion service cannot mature. It will always be unripe. We will always behave in such a way that we put ourselves first and not Krishna. We will all become mini gurus because we all want to be guru. We all want to be powerful. Factually speaking, we all want to be like Krishna. and want everyone else to obey us and follow us. If given an opportunity, we want us also to be in the altar. When we think we are the Lord and everybody else is nothing, that is not the mood of association. There will not be Krishna Katha, but only Gramya Katha. One who is genuinely an advanced devotee, he believes genuinely that he is a servant. See the episode of the bull and the cow, when the Kali is coming, right? The bull believed he is servant to the cow. And that is why he asked, Mother, how can I serve you? And the cow said, she said, we can discuss about Krishna. That is how they spent their whole lifetime, whole time before they were beaten. Because they were beaten by Kali. That is how we must spend our time before sufferings come on our heads. To be loving in our dealings and to be always reciprocatory in trying to help each other to remember Krishna. Help each other in remembering Krishna. This is the point to understand. Not helping, of course, so many things will help that can make us remember Krishna. If we do not follow this, then as Srila Prabhupada writes in the devotional service that in the devotional service we perform will not be distinct from material activities. There won't be any difference. Sadhu Sangha will not be Sadhu Sangha. It becomes Asat Sangha. It is only because of our devotees that our devotional service does not degrade to material activity. Otherwise, it can easily become material service. In the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 4.9.11, again Prabhupada writes, we have therefore established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Anyone who is trying to be aloof from this Krishna Consciousness Society and yet engage in Krishna Consciousness is living great hallucination, for this is not possible. We are in ISKCON, but not following ISKCON. Just for the sake of meeting people, intimacy and all. Then it is great hallucination. It was not possible. My Guru Maharaj says, what is this Society for Krishna Consciousness? It is a place where we are coming together to hear Bhagavatam, to chant, and to remember Krishna, and lovingly serve each other. So wherever that place is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Not necessarily the temple, wherever at your own home. Because you are discussing, coming together to hear Bhagavatam, to chant Hare Krishna Mantra, to remember Krishna, and lovingly serving each other. So please remember one thing. See, the cow was not isolated. Neither was the bull. And because they were discussing Krishna Katha, that Krishna Katha made them strong enough to tolerate the sufferings. And Krishna gave them the vision to understand that Krishna is behind every action that is in this world. So Krishna always protects his devotees. And after association with devotees, it will aid in spiritual advancement. So let us all pray to Krishna, Prabhupada, Guru, so that we contemplate on these points, and wherever we face difficulties in life, by the strength of this knowledge, we will be able to tolerate all our sufferings, realizing that they are all God-given in small doses, and continue with our unalloyed devotion service unto the Supreme Lord Krishna. So in this purport of 4.9.12, which we are discussing today, Prabhupada says, here Dhruva Maharaj plainly says that a devotee has no more bodily interest. He knows that he is not the body. Therefore, from the very beginning, without wasting time in bodily exercises, a devotee searches out a pure devotee and simply by his association becomes more advanced in spiritual consciousness than any yogi. Because the devotee knows that he is not the body, he is never affected by bodily happiness or distress. He is not interested in bodily relationships with wife, children, home, bank balance, etc. or in the distress and happiness which come from these things. So the cow and the bull are teaching us two very important things. Number one, the royal road out of sufferings is acceptance and tolerance. Whatever sufferings come to you, the royal road to free yourself is to accept, tolerate. Become like a sponge. The quality of sponge is very nice. Quality of rock is opposite to that of the sponge. See how much water you pour on the rock, it just flows away. But how much water you pour in the sponge absorbs. This is the nature of the sponge. The rock will erode after a number of years with the flowing water. Now, because it does not absorb, it gets washed away. But the sponge never gets washed away. It absorbs and it retains its quality. A devotee retains the quality of devotional service by tolerating the difficulties of the material world and seeing the hand of Krishna. A devotee remembers that it is Krishna Prasad. The person is not to be blamed. I do not want to think of that person day and night. Better I think of Krishna. Then I become peaceful. So this is the royal road. The royal road out of sufferings is acceptance and tolerance. And the second point is this, the value of devotees association. So why the cow and the bull have so much strength and faith in devotional service? Why? Because they were in sadhu sangha. They were two, they were not one. Because they were together, they were discussing Krishna. And the point they were discussing Krishna, Kali came there, but they derived spiritual strength from each other because they were discussing the glories of Krishna. They could accept the suffering better because they were in sadhu sangha. That is why Vaishnavas, no, they serve each other in suffering times. That is why when we suffer, we have to take the shelter of Krishna. That's why I used to remember my Guru Maharaj, whenever we meet him, when you are in the various functions in Janmashtami and all, we have so many sevas, you say, come sit down, let us chant, let us read, let us see whether Krishna gives us intelligence to solve the problem. We will try. That way we did not realize that Guru Maharaj was giving us Sangha. He was propping us up. Just like the bull was propping the cow and the cow was propping the bull. And because they were in Sadhu Sangha, they were very powerful. They did not lose anything. They could tolerate their sufferings. That is why, if you really want to advance in devotional service, please do Sadhu Sangha. So the significant point, Guru Maharaj wanted the association of pure devotees, right? So transcendental, Prabhupada says, transcendental devotional service cannot be complete and cannot be relishable without the association of devotees. That's why Prabhupada says, we have therefore established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Who is a pure devotee? Srila Prabhupada said, except for you, everyone else is a pure devotee. Anyone who is trying to be aloof from this Krishna consciousness society and yet engage in Krishna consciousness is living in a great hallucination, or this is not possible. So from this statement by Dhruva Maharaj, it is clear that unless one is associated with devotees, his devotional service does not mature. It does not become distinct from mental activities. So if we perform devotional service thinking that we can be at home, staying at home and not come for the programs, and we can come once in a while, we are in hallucination. Whenever we do not want to go to the programs, we should read this statement. It is all sense gratification, not for the glorification of Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. Service purifies the consciousness. Devotional service. Kali cannot touch us. Kali can beat us, but it cannot touch our consciousness. Kali can hit our bodies, can give so much pain, but it cannot touch our consciousness. Because of sadhu sangha with Bhagavatam and association of devotees. So the association of association with the spiritual master is eternal. So for those who are in the strength of Bhagavatam, who are really attached to Srimad Bhagavatam and devotional service, the transmission between the spiritual master and the disciple is instant, immediate. So when the spiritual master leaves the body, actual teachings we follow, they give us the strength by following the instructions. See, in the instructions from the Navayogendras, right? The qualities of Uttamadhikari devotees is very nicely given in Bhagavatam 11 to 49 to 55. In 11 to 49, Shri Havir, he says, one of the Navayogendras, within the material world, one's material body is always subject to birth and decay. Similarly, the life air, prana, is harassed by hunger and thirst. The mind is always anxious. Intelligence hankers for that which cannot be obtained. And all of the senses are ultimately exhausted by the constant struggle in the material nature. A person who is not bewildered by the inevitable miseries of material existence and who remains aloof from them simply by remembering the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered Bhagavata Pradhana, the foremost devotee of the Lord. So, the nature of the material world and how pure devotees deal with it are nicely mentioned in this verse 11 to 49. So, every divinity who is born here has to die. And when we are alive, we face so many challenges in the form of hunger, thirst, anxieties, worries. We really get very exhausted by all these miseries. Despite knowing that our body is going to decay and fall one day, we all love our body very dearly and are very attached to it. We have this mindset that if we don't eat or drink water for a day, we cannot survive. But we might have experienced when we are fasting on Nirjala Ekadasi or on Krishna Janmashtami, when we are properly engaged in the service of the Lord, in the association of devotees, or when we are hearing Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, these material disturbances like hunger, thirst, sleep, worries, they don't affect us. But when you don't keep Krishna in the center, you cannot stay without water or food even for a few hours. A pure devotee of the Lord understands that all these miseries are inevitable here and is not affected by these miseries. How are they able to get this understanding? The answer is Smritya Hare, which means remembrance of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. The effects of remembering the lotus feet of Krishna is very nicely described in Bhagavatam 3:542. It says, simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge, and on the strength of detachment, one becomes pacified. We must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet, Saroja Pitam. So while meditating on Bhagavatam 2:4.2, number one, our attachments to this material world are deep rooted. Two, when we surrender to Krishna, fix our mind on Krishna by His grace, we can get detached from material things. And three, by taking shelter of pure devotees who dovetail everything in Krishna's service and following their instructions, we can advance in spiritual life. See, in Amrish Maharaj's pastime 9:5:15 Bhagavatam, for those who have achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of the pure devotees, what is impossible to do and what is impossible to give up? For pure devotees of the Lord, nothing is impossible. But for conditioned souls like us, detachment from family, friends, wealth, and prosperity is not an easy thing. It is only by grace of pure devotees and grace of Krishna we might be able to give up our attachment to materialist way of life. So, never we should be proud that I am detached from all material things. The moment such a thought comes, that itself is an indication of us being trapped by the illusory energy. Nothing is possible without the mercy of the Lord and His devotees. And we must always be conscious of this fact. That's why Prabhupada in the purport of 242 mentions, by the grace of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Parishit was awarded all material amenities and an undisputed kingdom in which to enjoy the undisputed position of the king. But by the grace of the Lord, he was able to give up all connections with the material attachment, right? That is the position of a pure devotee. We can never be proud that we are able to control our senses. Instead, the best thing is to hand over the senses to the master of the senses, Rishikesha, and seek his mercy. My Guru Maharaj used to say, how great sages like Vishwamitra and Parashara Muni themselves were not able to control their senses. See, at any point of time, please remember that we cannot control our senses on our own. We should pray to Krishna to help us in controlling them. So we should never become proud that we have controlled the senses. If at any point of time we think that we have controlled the senses, then it is like throwing Vindhyachal mountain into the ocean and saying that it will float, which will not. You must always pray to Krishna for help in controlling senses. It's a beautiful prayer by Vritrasura in Bhagavatam 6:11-27. It teaches us how we should seek Krishna's mercy. Mamuttama janeshu sakyam samsara chakre brahmatasva karmabhihi tvanmayatma jadaram jajeshu asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. Oh my Lord, my Master, I am wandering throughout this material world as a result of my fruitive activities. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your external energy. But I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you. A beautiful prayer, 6:11-27. See, Prabhuji's mother is statistics show that our society's individuals are generally getting more and more disturbed, especially since 1960s. More declining took off, introducing illicit affairs, intoxication on a wide scale amongst the youth. The World Health Organization, WHO, says that depression is the #1 disease in the world today. So prior to all this research work, Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Srila Vasudeva, who is literally incarnation of Supreme Lord and is also Trikala Gyani, says in the verse 1:110 of Bhagavatam, Prayan Alpayush Sabhya Kalavasmin Yuge Janaha Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hi Upadritaha. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. This is a symptom of Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, we see all around us that more and more people in different age groups are becoming depressed for different reasons and circumstances. Some of the reasons for depression trigger are failure in getting the person they loved or they thought they loved, unable to find a job they were liking, scoring poor marks in an exam, failure to qualify in a competitive exam, unable to pay back the loans taken from others, loss of self-esteem, demise of dear relative. The list goes on. People become depressed because they feel unfortunate, mandabhagya, and always disturbed, upadritaha. So how can we overcome depression? Krishna gives us the solution for this through the Shastras and the pure devotees. For example, in Kurukshetra war, Krishna, by his potency, puts even the great warrior Arjuna to be affected by depression so that he can teach the entire world the glories of Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, verse number 1.29, Arjuna says, Vepatuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate gandivam shramashate hastat tvakchaiva paridahyate. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow, Gandiva, is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. So we see here that when our mind is depressed, it has an impact on our physical health. When one of the devotees was facing some challenges in his personal life and approached my Guru Maharaj, he very lovingly advised him, when problems come, we should not become depressed. Then we would need to fix two things. First is depression. Second is actual problem itself. And he also continued it. He told him, our body is temporary. So this material world is temporary. So how come the miseries be permanent? So the example of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was very attached to his throne. He was ignoring the wrong deeds done by his son Duryodhana. He was blinded by his love for his son and attachment for the throne. So Dhritarashtra means one was eager to grab the nation. Like him, we are also Dhrita money, Dhrita house, Dhrita spouse. Instead of being Dhrita for these things, we should behave like Lord Brahma and be Dhrita Hari. Devotees don't do chinta. They do chintan. So we have to request the Lord, right? Please give us devotional service. Nanyam vadami na smaro, shinomi na chintayami. Nanyam smarami na bhajami na chasashrayami. Krishna tvadiya charanambujavantarena. Shri Srinivasa Purushottama Dehi Dasyam. I will not speak anything else. I will not hear anything else other than Krishna. I will not think anything else other than Krishna. I will not remember anything else other than Krishna. I will not worship anything else other than Krishna. I will not take any other shelter other than Krishna. Krishna, your lotus feet are inside my heart. Shri Srinivasa Purushottama, please engage me in your devotional service. So we are requesting him, please give us devotional service. Krishna is very miser, kanjus. He gives you anything. Huh? You go to him and ask, give me nice wife, husband, house, flat, or dollars. Whatever you ask, he will give it to you. But he won't give you the devotional service. Never. He wants to get rid of you by giving you whatever the other things you ask him. You ask any other thing, you get it. Why he doesn't give devotional service? Because if he gives devotional service, he has to become a slave to you. Yashoda Mata is such a nice, pure devotee. She ran after Krishna with a stick. He was crying. Can you imagine Supreme Absolute Truth crying in front of the devotee? Krishna says, I am sold to the devotees. So if everybody becomes a devotee, to how many people he can become sold? He doesn't want that. That is why he doesn't give. But he has put conditions. He has a very nice name, Madana Mohana. Madana Mohana. These are the conditions to get pure devotional service. Mada means pride, abhiman, right? We should be completely without mada, pride. If you are without abhiman, then madana will come to you. Mohana means don't be illusioned. If you are not illusioned, you will get mohan. So to obtain madana mohana, these are the two things required. You should be completely without pride. Don't be proud at all. What is to be proud of this body? Dirty bag of stool and urine. Can we be proud of this? That we have 25 kilos of stool, 30 kilos of urine, all obnoxious. But we simply fight and walk with great pride. If weather is not good, if water is not provided by Krishna, you cannot even tolerate your own body. As it is, we cannot tolerate. It is stinking. It has to stink because the composition is stinking. Dirty things are inside. It's only because we are covered by skin, we think, oh, I am so beautiful. Nothing at all. No, it is just a wrong thing to be proud of this body. Madana, if you are proud of that which you should not be proud of, then you are in moha. It is great illusion. We are able to tolerate this body only because we are able to take shower daily and our food is prasadam, vegetarian. Otherwise, you cannot even go near meat eaters. They will stink so badly. So what are we? If you understand this Madana and Mohana and follow this, then you'll always be Madana Mohana. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. This is another beautiful verse from Bhagavatam 11:9-29. Ladva sudurlabamidam bahusambhavante manushyamartadamanityamapi yadhirah purnam yateta patedan mrityu yavan nishreyasha vishayah kalu sarvatasyat. So, Turnam Yatet Na Patet Anu Mrityu Yavan. You have to immediately start liberating yourself. And the beauty of Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Or reciting shlokas is non-different from liberation, from the mental miseries. Miserable mental existence. That is why any problem you have, you just forget about that problem and come to this. There's a very nice story on how the Lord protects us. We don't worry. चिंता नहीं करते हैं हम, चिंतन करते हैं. There is only one letter different. Chinta means worry. We don't worry about anything. But as soon as there is some worry, we start chintan. Meditating on Krishna's names, form, pastimes, going to Bhagavatam. This is all devotional service. So we carry on devotional service and don't worry about any problems. Once there was a rishi and his wife. Naturally, they were very much attached to Krishna Katha. But there were so much disturbances from other people. So they requested the Lord to convert them into pigeons so that nobody disturbs them. And they can continuously hearing and discussing about Krishna Katha. Then the pigeon couple was sitting on the branch of a tree and engaged in discussion of Krishna Katha. But people did not know their language, right? So there was no disturbance for them. But a hunter came under the tree to take rest. And when he was resting, he noticed the two pigeons. He thought, let me kill them first and take the rest. He prepared his bow and arrow and was targeting at them. The bird saw this. Male pigeon said to his wife, don't worry about him. Let us continue Krishna Katha. Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, Name Bhakta Pranashati. My devotees are never destroyed. So if we are really bhaktas, Krishna will take care of us. So without worrying, the male pigeon continued the Krishna Katha and they looked over the sky and the vulture was already ready to catch him. If they try to fly away from the hunter, they will become a prey to the vulture. Up in the sky, vulture was soaring around. Ground, hunter. Up in the sky, vulture was soaring around. Ground, hunter was waiting to kill. The male pigeon was not disturbed. Female bird was a bit scared. But somehow, the other, they continued Krishna Katha. Devotees always perform chintan, meditating on the Bhagavatam, right? So Krishna Katha, they still continued. They saw both the hunter down and the vulture up, but they were not bothered. They continued Krishna Katha. It so happened that the serpent came from the trunk of the tree and bit the leg of the hunter, and so he couldn't shoot the arrow correctly. And the arrow was released wrongly in such a way that it went and killed the vulture. This way, the pigeons were protected. We don't know the arrangement of Krishna. He is protecting us every second of our existence. Otherwise, who knows when we will be killed? There are always hunters and vultures around us in so many forms. We cannot be alive at all. That is why this line is mentioned, Turnam Yatet. Immediately we have to come to devotional service. Turnam Yatet. Immediately come to devotional service. The thing is, my Guru always used to say, I want you all people to study. Don't study superficially. Study at least one verse. But you realize that verse. Read in between the lines. You have so much experience, education, wealth. Please put your experience in understanding these words and you will be completely liberated in no time. Krishna is there to protect if you concentrate on these things. Have you been sick, down with a common flu, felt wiped out? See, does not your mind coax you? Hey, it's okay, one day you do not have to take bath, take a rest in bed, do not move, just take it easy. One day of chanting or reading is not going to kill you. But my godbrother, when he was serving Guru Maharaj in London, when he was in hospital, at that time, Maharaj, we told him, when he had that stroke, there are all these same the thoughts, no? It's okay, one day, no chanting, no bathing and all. All these thoughts, his mind was telling him, my Maharaj, but he simply ignored and rebelled. He said that once we lose control of our senses, especially in sickness and death, we cannot remember Krishna. So he referred one of the one Maharaj's favorite verses from Bhagavad Gita 2.64. And he asked him to recite Ragadvesha Vimuktaistu Vishayanindriyescharan Atma Vaishyer Videyatma Prasadam Adhigachati. For a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through the regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. This is the only verse in the whole of Bhagavad Gita where the Supreme Lord directly reveals how to attract his mercy. 2.64. So freedom from aversion and attachment can only come on the basis of how much serious endeavor, granatascha swacheshtitam, how much serious endeavor you are making to control your senses for the pleasure and satisfaction of Krishna, and not for the sake of control or being like Sadhu Baba. This genuine attempt to control senses immediately attracts Krishna's mercy. So devotional service practiced is very, very stringent. And stringency attracts the mercy of the Lord. And Krishna reciprocates in a pleasing manner for both his pure devotee and also the serious devotee. So the biggest formality of this middle world is disease and death. Biggest formality. So to be free from both, we must follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni, 1:6:26 of Bhagavatam. Namanyanantasya hatatrapa patan guhyani badrani kritani chasmaran gamparyatam tushtamana kalam pratikshan vimado vimassarah. Thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. So the symptom of our devotional service, control of our senses, will be expressed in our character and behavior. If the end product is that we are fully satisfied, genuinely humble, and unenvious, then we are freed of the sufferings of old age, disease, and death. And the last point I would like to, and then close. In Bhagavatam 1:15, sages and Naimishyana say to Suta Goswami, O Suta Goswami, the great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify others who may come into touch with them, while the water of the Ganges can do so after prolonged use only. So the sadhu sangha is very important. The scriptures insist that association of pure devotee is so powerful that it can purify our existence within a short time. Sadhu sangha sarva shastre kaya lava matra sadhu sanghe sarva siddhi haya. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. Now the question arises that if even a lava matra sadhu sangha can bring such a great change in one's life, why we are not able to see such drastic changes impact in our lives? Although by the causeless mercy of Krishna, we get the association of many pure devotees. There is a very instructive conversation between Prabhupada and his disciples in one of the morning walks in Mayapur in 11th March 1976, which will remove all the doubts in our heart. So first, disciples' question was, how does that work? That if somebody has the association of pure devotee for only a lava, 1/11th of a second, that he attains small perfection. How? Prabhupada says, if he is so sincere. He gave the example, just like a dried wood immediately ignites. And if it's a moist, it does not. It is the quality of the wood. One takes 300 years, one in 3 minutes. That's it. One is dry from the metal moist of contamination. He becomes immediately ignited in spiritual. Then the disciple asks, what is that drying process? Drying process is for many, many years, one has tried to become Krishna conscious. Many, many lives. Bahunam Janmanam Anti, 10.19 Bhagavad Gita. When he actually becomes man of knowledge, he surrenders unto Krishna. Otherwise, he is lost. So his drying process may take 3 minutes or 3 million years. The next question was, but that knowledge that Krishna is everything comes by Krishna's mercy, Srila Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada says Krishna's mercy is already there. But if you are not able to take it, then who is to be blamed? Then another question was, then you don't even have to hear from a self-realized soul. Simply by seeing him, you can become completely purified by the darshan of the Lord. Yes, Prabhupada says yes, but both are required. The matches must also be all right, and the wood must also be all right. Then there is fire. If one of them is defective, then it's not possible. So Prabhupada says, when you go to the fire, you become dry. But willfully we put again water. So this nonsense business makes us late. This process is already there. How to become dry. But instead of taking the process, we put water. Then how will it be ignited? The rules and regulations is the drying process. But without following the rules and regulations, if you again become victimized by Maya, then there is water and again dry it. So this is going on, watering and drying, watering and drying. No straightforward process for drying. That will not all. But difficulty is that we dry and again put water. So instead of making ourselves wet again and again, if we sincerely endeavor to dry ourselves from metal moist of contamination by following the instructions of spiritual master and acharyas, then we will be also ignited with fire of devotion. So we started with a special advantage of devotee, right, in the purport. And in the last line of the purport, Prabhupada says, this is a special advantage of being a devotee. This status of life is possible only when a person is interested in associating with a pure devotee who always enjoys the fragrance of the lotus feet of Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very much, Bruce Mataji, for giving me this opportunity to glorify the Lord and purify myself. Vancha kalpatarupesh kripa sindhuvayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo. Thank you very much, Mataji. Happy Krishna conscious New Year to everybody and have a wonderful year to be more and more engaged in the service of the Lord and associating with pure devotees. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, share. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna Madhuri.
As always, just overwhelmed, Prabhuji, and thank you for all the wishes and for the coming year. Thank you, and wish you the same, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madhuri. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you very
wonderful
much.
class. Looks like we have started the year very well with a lot of instructions in this class, with all the addiction, etc., etc. The cow
Yes,
and the
Prabhu.
bull. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. So we should take not the first addict, second addict.
Yes, Prabhuji.
By that,
Yes.
the second addict can be removed, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
I had a small question, like, as it said, like, one should not get addicted to the family and other things.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
one minute. Somebody is taking bell. Just hold on. Sorry. Somebody. Sorry, bro. Yes, bro. Please go ahead.
yes, Prabhu, like, not getting attached to the family and other relatives and blood relations, whatever it is. So this attachment is very, 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 very tight, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So how one should get detached from this, Prabhuji? Like,
Yeah, it's very Janma. That's what Prabhupada says, no? It takes only 3 minutes or 3 million years, 300 years, so many years. It's up to you. That means we should keep ourselves dry. Given the example of the wood and the water. So you go on putting water in the wood, then how can the fire ignite? So that's what we are doing. We're coming in the association of devotees. That means we are getting detached. At least once a week or some Janmashtami or festivals, we still associate. Nowadays, Zoom is there, so we are still associating. So the moment, the time we devote for this association of devotees, to that extent, we are detached. The family, home, society, so many other things, we are detached to that extent, maybe maximum 1 hour or so. So the more and more we associate, then we can get detached. Forcefully, we cannot detach. That is just like a show bottle devotional service. Just for the sake of showing others with tilaka, kantimala, then dhoti, kurta, and meat bags and all things, chanting, moving around. But internally, if you can introspect yourself, you can find yourself. The reason, am I really doing what Krishna wants, or my Acharya wants, or the Guru wants? If the Guru is in front of you, will you do what you are supposed to do, right? But you are not doing that. So this hypocrisy is not allowed. So each person can. So the point to understand is how this the attachment is so much. It's not just this janma. So many janmas it is there in various forms. It is still continuing. So this knot has become so much. No, to remove that knot ourselves, it's not possible. We need somebody above who doesn't have these knots, who is really pure. So only a pure devotee can help you in getting out of this attachment. And his instructions are always simple. Just chant Hare Krishna. When it doesn't say you have to give, nobody is asking you for money to building temples and nothing of that. So just chant Hare Krishna. Hear Bhagavatam, recite shlokas, come for Mangalarati. So these are all the things with which we should be more and more attached. Thereby the detachment automatically goes off. And by seeing you, even your own family members, they will also get attracted. Because you don't get agitated, anxious, and all these things, right? So this is the point to understand. Hello?
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Very well explained, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Danda Prabhu. Jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The relentless devotion of the pigeon story that you narrated was very nice, Prabhuji. And then the rock and the sponge example was also touching, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Happy New Year, Prabhuji, and Happy New Year to all. Prabhuji, I missed the other addiction first two words of A and D.
Second one.
Yes, second one.
I can share it to you, Madhya. I will share both of them to you.
Okay,
So it'll be easier for you, right?
Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. So I think it's that host of the time. So thank you very much, Professor Mataji. So we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day and a year. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you.